Guys, gals, ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to lose it. Dear AAA Gaming, no one wants NFTs, alright? As simple as that. God, Square Enix, beginning of the new year, they always have to find a way to spread that goatsy up. It's like every AAA gaming publisher is finding a way to burn every single last bit of goodwill we've ever seen. Now, I'm in a real, critic of NFTs, okay? I've talked a lot about why I don't believe in investing in digital JPEGs, alright? And people have called me stupid. People have said, "Ha, Moody, that Muda, you're stupid!" And, the reality of it is, I have yet to find where my stupidity kicks in. Look, I very much fully admit, 5 years down the road, when I'm sucking, when I'm on my knees sucking for nickels, okay, because I didn't invest in a Bored Apes Yacht Club, you know what? Yeah, I guess I'm wrong, okay? You got me there. But I'm gonna have to, and I'm not a betting man, but I'm gonna wager that it's probably not gonna end up like that. Because this phase of Beanie Babies, in my opinion, has a bit of a lifespan going forward. But, this isn't just purely about NFTs, it's about gaming and NFTs, all right? Now, I'm a gamer, okay? I play video games. I like playing AAA video games, okay? For me, there are plenty of good AAA things out there. For instance, Persona 5 Royal, great AAA game, amazing banger release, okay? Shin Megami Tensei 5, all right? That's a bang. FF7 Remake, which is actually very, very, very important to discuss in this entire situation. A game about you being rebels, eco-rebels, fighting off against evil organizations destroying the planet. Yeah, I was recently playing games like this, okay? Now, AAA gaming isn't without its faults. For every, Persona 5 Royale that you've got every AAA soulless games, especially like the CODs, the sports games that come out where instead of getting a game, you basically get a casino, okay? You basically get, a gun skin shop, you get some slot machines to play with. I get it. AAA gaming has its faults. Now, with AAA gaming, it's basically the biggest moneymaker for a lot of these companies. It has quite possibly the most amount of revenue streams that I've ever seen. Seriously, load up any AAA game, and if their game doesn't work because of server issues, what will work 99.9% of the time is the cash shop, is the ability for you to buy microtransactions and be able to process them. That will always work. I guess they must get the best engineers on the planet to make sure this shit works without a single hitch. Forget if the game works, who cares? Now, Square Enix's president, okay, has released this beautiful little statement, which we're going to read through. I would like to begin by wishing everyone a Happy New Year. Well, Happy New Year. The Metaverse was a hot topic in 2021. Inspiring a lively global conversation first about what the metaverse is, and then what sort of business opportunities it presents. Now, I want to start off by saying when I hear the word metaverse, it's kind of like, I feel like I'm one of the few people in the world that have woken up from the goddamn Matrix, where metaverses have always kind of existed. If you ever have been there for things like Second Life, for various things like Furcadia, for various social hubs where people gather through and make UGC content and push it out to everyone, metaverses have existed. This is not a new concept that any company has pushed through. We've had the idea of social spaces where we all connect to and actually push user-generated content. None of this is necessarily new. Everyone that's jumping in saying, I'm the new metaverse company, we've already had metaverses. Congratulations, you joined the trend now. I attribute this in large parts to the advances in extended reality XR technology, things like VR and AR, the increasing prevalence of the cloud, and 5G, more sophisticated blockchain technology, and other technological evolutions that have taken place in a variety of fields over the last several years. This is because these advances are giving rise to services that fall under the metaverse umbrella. Another term that quickly gained currency in 2021 was NFT, or non-fungible tokens. The advent of NFTs using blockchain technology significantly increased the liquidity of digital goods. How? How did it increase the liquidity of digital goods versus models like free-to-play systems where if you wanted to buy a model in a game like a gun skin, it's not like the liquidity there was scarce. You simply bought a piece of DLC or a microtransaction and a license was attributed to the millions of accounts that existed. That whole statement made no fucking sense. Enabling the trading of a variety of such goods at high prices and sparking conversations the world over. Yeah, I really want to see real money auction houses being brought back. That seems like a great thing. God damn. I see 2021 not only as Metaverse Year 1, but also as NFTs Year 1, given that it was a year in which NFTs were met with a great deal of enthusiasm by a rapidly expanding user Whoa! God damn, are we lying today? Shit, really? Man, have you seen the amount of shit Ubisoft just got over releasing Ubisoft Quartz, their NFT platform? You call that enthusiasm? Man, it's like these people have a humiliation fetish. You like getting peed on? What the fuck? Okay, good job there. Congratulations. However, we do observe examples here and there of overheated trading in NFT-based digital goods and somewhat speculative overtones. Regardless of the observed value of the content provided, this obviously is not an ideal situation, but it's usually the situation that occurs. But I expect to see an eventual right-sizing in digital goods deals as they become more commonplace among the general public. To address the changes in our business environment, the medium-term business strategy that we unveiled in May 2020 identified artificial intelligence, the cloud, and blockchain-based games as new domains on which we should focus our investments, and we have subsequently been aggressive in our research and development efforts in those areas. So, in this case, all right, they've basically looked at NFTs and they've looked at, the idea of blockchain and have realized, in AAA gaming, we already have tons of revenue streams. The games are costing $10 extra than they were before. Now they're $70. Okay, that makes sense because your development cost is probably increasing due to all these systems. You've already got battle passes in like every goddamn game imaginable, even games that like 3 people play. Sure, you got the battle passes a revenue stream. You've got a cash shop to buy skins and other bullshit. And now it's like, well, how do we sucker more money out of the people playing these dog shit games? Well, we'll introduce NFTs, a system where even less people have the financial resources to get into. But hey, if we can attract more giga whales, that's really the story. Because remember, in order for a lot of these systems to work, the reason why free-to-play games are so successful is because of whales, okay? So you and I may not necessarily spend a lot of money on like microtransactions. I'm gonna wager most of you watching have played a free-to-play game online like Halo Infinite, like Apex Legends, like Call of Duty Warzone, and have never spent a single dime on that game. And you know what? I'm going to say that's like 95% of the community. Now, the rest of the 5% probably have bought a skin every once in a while, maybe even a battle pass. I know that I've contributed to it here and there for games like Rainbow Six Siege. However, the money I spend is not in comparison to a whale that chooses to spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars on a game of their choosing. It's these whales that keep these games in the profit and allow us to experience some free maps once in a while. Now, while that's all good and everything, the idea of NFTs, which is a much more expensive avenue to get into, limits the amount of whales that you can have. But the whales that you do have in the NFT sphere should, in theory, be able to spend magnitudes of money more than the whales that are currently buying fucking $20 skins for a character. You get that? Get how that makes a little bit of sense? That's really the market, and this is what we're trying to tap into at this point. Lastly is blockchain games. Be they single-player or online games, games have traditionally involved a unidirectional flow whereby creators such as ourselves provide a game to the consumers who play them. By contrast, blockchain games, which have emerged from their infancy, are at this very moment entering a growth phase, are built upon the premise of a token economy, and therefore hold the potential to enable self-sustaining game growth. The driver that most enables such self-sustaining game growth is diversity, both in how people engage with content like games and in their motivations to do so. Advances in token economies will likely add further momentum to this trend of diversification. I see the play-to-earn concept that has people so excited as a prime example of this. Play-to-earn, which is where a certain amount of people can, lease their digital assets or their NFTs to other free-to-play players and make money off of them. So again, if it sounds a bit like a fucking pyramid to you guys, well, Square Enix would be at the top, wouldn't they? I understand that some people who play to have fun and who currently form the majority of players who voice their reservations toward these new trends, and understandably so. However, I believe that there will be a certain number of people whose motivation is to play to contribute, by which I mean to help make the game more exciting. Traditional gaming has offered no explicit incentive to this latter group of people, who are motivated strictly by such inconsistent personal feelings as goodwill and volunteer spirit. This fact is not unrelated to the limitations of existing UGC. UGC has been brought into being solely because of individuals' desire for self-expression, and not because explicit incentive existed to reward them for their creative efforts. I see this as one reason that there haven't been as many major game-changing content that were user-generated as one would expect. What games have you been playing? There's tons of mods and I guess user-generated content for plenty of games that have existed long before token economies and NFTs. If these guys want to make every single game that they have in their rotation like Roblox, which is currently a multi-billion dollar juggernaut, that also comes with its own problems of exploiting people. You really think that if you jump into these models, guys, that you're going to be the winning player? These are all just elaborate pyramids where one company at the top basically facilitates money to a small subset of few, while everyone below is just enjoying and hoping that they get to live the dream of making even $5 on a platform like this. That's how insane the NFT blockchain trend has become. This is the copium we're trying to feed. You know, what's really out of touch with Square Enix is literally one of their games is facing an issue because of the chip shortage that most likely has had some contribution, okay, from the NFT system, from the crypto system, that is currently out there participating in the scalping and purchasing of these massive chips, these graphic cards, these systems, in order to help pump and basically process the blockchains that they power. This is a situation that Square Enix currently faces. For instance, if you go to their store right now and try to buy Final Fantasy XIV Online, which is like the fastest growing MMO as far as I know, they literally have to stop sales for the game. You can look down over here, they're selling like Endwalker Standard Edition. Now, if you add this to your card or whatever, you'll find out that you need the actual game to play, okay? The product is an expansion pack that requires the online starter edition. Par for the course for MMOs. However, if you try to buy the actual game like the starter edition, you're on a wait list. In fact, why are you on a wait list? Well, they actually provided an explanation. Let's go check. So as of December 15th, players are currently experiencing extremely long wait times due to the dense concentration of play hours which far exceed our server capacity, especially during peak times. It's why when you play an MMO, you're always looking at a login queue because there's that many people playing on a realm, that many people playing on a server. The reason for that is right here. Since July 2021, in order to accommodate the significant increase in the number of new players, we've been working towards building a new logical data center and adding new worlds. However, due to the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, we have not been able to make any additions due to suspension of semiconductor production and manufacturing factories, decrease in production quantities, as well as a shortage of raw materials. So realistically, what's going on is because of the chip shortage and the fact that Square Enix, while being a big company, is nowhere near as large as Apple, Tesla, Microsoft, Google, who are able to throw massive amounts of cash at securing all these semiconductors before anybody else in order to build new servers for their games. Why? Well, they're also contributing to the same technology that might inadvertently be fucking shooting them in the ass. Now, what's interesting to me is another company by the name of Ubisoft, which you mentioned earlier, went through the same public shaming anyways. They recently released Ubisoft Quartz, which is basically their initiative to run like NFTs into the entire like AAA gaming sphere. So basically, if you don't know, they basically have like a gun skin and like 2 cosmetics that you can unlock in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. If you don't know what Ghost Recon Breakpoint is, like 6 people play that game. It's not the most popular Ghost Recon game imaginable, nor is it the most popular game Ubisoft has made. But I guess that made it a hotbed testing ground for something like NFTs. So basically, they're in one of these graphics, they're like, it consumes 1 million times less energy than a Bitcoin transaction. 30 seconds of streaming videos consumes as much as 1 transaction on the Tezos blockchain. Why? Because they're requiring a proof of stake blockchain, and it's obviously a little bit more energy efficient. Now, I want to jump in by saying I'm not going to go into the whole ecological impacts of NFTs. If we're going to quantify the ecological impacts of anything, we could look at the global financial system. We could look at plenty of systems that exist in today's society that consume just as much energy and probably are just as damaging to the overall environment. But when you look at things like NFTs, I think the use case in an NFT versus the global financial system is pretty obvious. I can pay for my house with actual US currency. I cannot pay for it in fucking crypto dollars yet. All right, so there's a big difference in that regard. However, let's go to Ubisoft Quartz real quick. This is a very interesting way to go down. So here I'm on good old-fashioned Rarible, which is the largest NFT platform, one of the largest NFT platforms. And here we're just basically assessing how much of these Ubisoft digits are actually being sold. So for instance, if you just look at sales, again, just sales, you can see that Wolf Enhanced Pants 539, which I believe this is the one where you need to play the game for like 600 hours in order to unlock, is sold for 20.5 XTZ. Of course, how much is 20.5 XTZ? We can just do a quick conversion on Google and find out that 1 Tezos, okay, let's just do 20 So 20.5. I'll be very charitable and go 21. $96, okay? So somebody made $96 by selling this Wolf Enhanced pack to somebody else. Now, of course, the same person then sold this gun skin for 9.5 XTZ. So again, if we just look at the general conversion, around half of that, okay? This person made like $150 selling it to this rando, okay? These two randies. Now, there's been no sale since like last year, okay? So basically, the amount of sales that are flowing through at all are kind of laughable. People are mostly holding on to these digits, and I have a strong suspicion that people either A, like these cosmetics, or B, nobody's goddamn buying it aside from like a couple people every day. You have to be lucky to sell these to anybody that's playing a game that's dead as fuck to begin with. So yeah, that's one of the funniest things that I've ever seen. The project that Ubisoft decided to jump on, you know, the big NFT wave, has actually done jack shit for them in terms of making the money. Even if they were making money on like the commissions, like 5%, like, you know, transaction fees on each of these items, it would never be close to anything for them to be worth it for all the public shaming that they had received. And again, it really shows you that these NFTs aren't a great investment, because if you're tying your video game AAA NFT to a game that doesn't really have a strong player base to begin with, it's not going to work. You know, they would make tens to hundreds of times more sales if they put this thing into Rainbow Six Siege. However, how willing is Ubisoft to put something as controversial as this in one of their most played games at the moment? That's questionable. If you really believed in the technology, Ubisoft, why don't you put it in Siege and see how the community reacts to it? That would be an amazing dumpster fire to see. Now, I've talked to a lot of people who have basically blown up the idea to me like, but Muda, what if I could, like, you know, use these skins between games? I own the NFT of that skin. Now, let's go to Rainbow Six Siege, a game that I play, and there are some skins that I love. Now, in terms of game design and game programming, you can take one skin file from one game and just easily throw it into something like CSGO or Call of Duty Vanguard. Game engines are built differently, okay? You can't just take one model file and just easily throw it into another game. There's got to be reprogramming. There's got to be an entire, like, open component between these game publishers that allow the exchange of actual game skins. And that also includes running into things like, you know, commercial issues, you know, licensing problems, all of that massive headache. No company will ever jump onto these trends. These NFTs in video games are only going to be tied to the video games that they are attaching themselves into. Which in that case, may I remind you, if a gun skin in Ubisoft's like Rainbow Six Siege was to be introduced, what would it being an NFT truly, like, you know, quantify? What would that truly bring to the table? Is it the ability for people to lease the gun skin to somebody else, you know, for a little while so they can feel like they can have that gun skin and enjoy it for a few rounds? Is it going to be like Combat Arms where people who own NFTs for gun skins can put them up on a marketplace, and like players who don't have enough financial resources can say, I'll rent that gun skin for like 30 days and play it while, you know, paying the person who owns the skin? Are we going to design economies like that where we're catering to a few rich guys while simultaneously trying to screw over the little guys who are basically the bulk of the playing player base on the game? That's the entire market that we introduce. This is all the stuff that I've ran through my head. I know that I'm going off on a million tangents in this video, but the reality is I've thought this situation through tons and tons of times, and none of them end up being remotely good for the average player in these games. It's like these companies want to cater their video games to a very small subset of people and piss off 99% of their player base. And once that happens and this whole thing falls down on them, I want to see these companies try to retain any goodwill from anybody, be they Square Enix, be they Ubisoft, be they the developers for any of these smaller titles that want to somehow jam NFTs into their games. It's going to be interesting going forward. I've never come across one argument from a crypto bro that somehow I could agree with when it comes to gaming and utilizing NFTs within them. And I guess to finalize this, because I am going off on like a million tangents, I think every company wants to be like these blockchain-based games, like Axie Infinity, which right now might be one of the biggest blockchain-based games imaginable. And of course, it's the digital nation where you can battle, collect, and earn. For, you know, just argument's sake, this is basically like Pokemon on the blockchain. You can come out over here and basically, you know, get new Axie Beanie Babies and like use them to fight against other people. But let's go look at some of their websites. So, $3.6 billion was traded in our in-house marketplace. The most expensive Axie ever sold was $820,000, This isn't a good sign. This just shows your game has a severe speculative, value problem. Then you've got 2.8 million daily active players. Now, this is a play to earn game. For these games to succeed, they have to constantly be pulling in new blood every quarter. This is not like a free-to-play game where once your player base tapers off, you're fine. They need new people to jump in that consistently fuel the economy. They need to have more money going in than money going out. If it stagnates and they're paying out their creators money month after month without new sources of cash coming in from like these poorer players, these models are unsustainable. You can even see on their store, they've got like 42,000 sales in the last 24 hours, totaling a volume of 5.7 million. Again, imagine owning this marketplace and making just a tiny percentage fee on just this every day is massive. In the last 7 days, 44.2 million Ethereum was, or $44.2 million worth of Ethereum was traded on this platform. 30 days, $250 million in a month. Now, this is just one blockchain-based game happening to be the most successful. AAA gamers, AAA gaming companies, if succeeded, could make this look like nothing in comparison. You could literally look at the recent sold Axes for like $67, $153. This is Pokemon for the absolute rich elite few. And, you know, while this does have an entire system where people can jump in and participate as scholars and sponsors, for instance, read this real quick. A scholarship in Axie Infinity is when a manager breeder gives out a free Axie team to a scholar. Scholars are those poorer players who can't afford $60 to $70 Axies to play with these to play online. The scholar will then play the game using these Axies to earn smooth love potions in behalf of the manager while taking a cut from the earnings. So basically, a richer person will jump in, buy a bunch of these babies, all right, these beanie babies, these Axies, and lease them to a newer player who can't afford them. This newer player does the grinding, and then basically a percentage of the money is given between both of them. So you can imagine, you know, if you like visualize it, it starts off as a pyramid at the goddamn top, trickling down. Everyone here has dreams they want to fill. These guys are making some killing. Oh, these guys at the top. Oh, they are going even further to the top. It's a wild story to get down into. But this is where I'm going to end the video off. I know people are probably going to make a video and say, haha, fuck Square Enix and NFTs. But you got to make these longer videos because you really have to detail why these NFTs are not going to be successful in the future, okay? This is a fad, all right? This is a fad because how these companies, these AAA companies are implementing this technology is in no way different than the stuff that already exists. How is it that selling a gun skin for $10 through in-game credit on Siege will be vastly different than owning the NFT of that? Because unless you can use that NFT between multiple games, all right, then maybe I can see the worth. Maybe if I like a gun skin in Siege a lot and I would like to see it replicated between other games, that would be cool. So far, that may never happen because of how vastly different the coding is on these video games too. The other massive issue is if they will eventually be used one day to lease to players who may not be able to afford $100 gun skins, $1,000 gun skins, is that really a market that we want to be contributing to? In this case, I'm going to back out and say if this is the future of AAA gaming, I'm not really that much of a gamer anymore. I would like to play my games on an emulator and enjoy the good old days. You know what? I'm probably going to play a lot more indie games that I currently am doing already. Because this is what the AAA market wants. Fuck Square Enix, fuck Ubisoft, and fuck every other company that joins this trend. This is bullshit, and this is just one that frankly should be mocked to the ends of the earth. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.